Hey everyone, Mr. Sujano here, your source for gaming, tech, emulation, and open source news. Let's get started. Alright, to kick things off, we're talking about Don't Tempt Fate, Save Your State with SaveState. So for those who may not be aware, SaveState is a user-friendly GUI application for Windows to easily back up and restore video game save files, especially useful for games without cloud saves or for managing multiple save locations. And SaveState just got a brand new update. So at the time of filming, version 1.3.8 is the latest update, and I would say this update is pretty exciting. They say this release introduces experimental support for detecting save data for various emulators, and fully standardizes the application interface and code base to English by removing the previous translation system. So SaveState can now automatically detect save data for Ryujinx, Yuzu, RPCS3, DuckStation, Dolphin, PPSSPP, Citra, Azahar, MGBA, SNES 9X, Desmumi, and CMU. Moving on, and we're talking about Commodore 64 emulation on Nintendo DS and DSi with GimliDS. And GimliDS was just updated to version 0.9c. They say here pressing L and R shoulder buttons together is warp mode, run emulator fast while the buttons are held. Improved L and R and D-pad scale offset so it doesn't also produce joystick input at the exact same time. Minor tweaks here, and CRT and PRG cartridge support. And speaking about inputs, next up here we're talking about Sega Saturn emulation with Ymir or Ymir. Subscribe to Mr. Sujano depending on how you wanted to pronounce this one. We talked about this emulator a few days back, and this is a fairly new Sega Saturn emulator. And it just got an update here to version 0.1.2 where there are some improvements to inputs. So they say here, gamepad support has been improved. You can now map triggers to buttons and analog sticks to D-pads in addition to the D-pad. And a new section in the Input Settings tab allows you to adjust and test dead zones and sensitivity for analog to digital mappings. Moving on, and we're talking about Spectral, and Spectral is a ZX Spectrum emulator for Windows, Mac, and Linux, and it just got an update here to version 1.09. So at the time of filming, I would say this update is pretty big. I mean, we've got a whole bunch of bug fixes, and there's some changes and brand new features. They've added in ultra-wide ULA, a resizable app window, and they've also added in zooming and panning. Next up, we're talking about Windows emulation on Android with Winlator. Now, Winlator has been a very hot topic in the news lately, and mainly because this emulator was packaged with a virus, and it was unintentional from my understanding. It has since been fixed, and the developer has put Winlator on pause. Anyways here, a lot of people have done extensive testing with Winlator to see the impacts of the virus overall and if there is a bigger risk. This whole testing process, along with a lot of conversation surrounding it, is posted up on Reddit Emulation on Android. If you're interested in it and wanted to learn more about it, like everything we talk about, links are in the description below right at the bottom. I don't hide my sources. Taking a look here, it seems that this virus is relatively contained. Like I've said in previous videos, I do think this was an honest mistake from the developer of Winlator, but at the same time here, because there was a virus packaged in it and there's a little bit of uncertainty here, I cannot recommend it. I'll still cover the news about it though, absolutely. But this is one that I won't be using moving forward, and that's my opinion and what I'm doing, but at the same time, you're free to do whatever you want. But moving on from that, and next up here, we're talking about the opposite, kinda, really loosely kinda. So in yesterday's video, we mentioned big changes coming to Android 16 and specifically surrounding the desktop environment. And it seems here that Samsung is also working on a brand new DeX. And to me, this looks really nice. So the tweet here from iPostDev shows a few screenshots of this in action, and I would say the new version of Samsung DeX is shaping up really nicely. Let me know your thoughts about this one in the comments below and about the overall possible improvement to the Android desktop experience. I mean, not just for Samsung DeX, but for Android 16 altogether. I am very excited about this one, and I think it has a lot of potential. And speaking about handheld devices, next up here we're talking about the brand new Anbernic RG 34XXSP. I think a lot of people will be excited about this one given the overall success of the 35XXSP, which I have. And this one here I think looks even better. There are some analog sticks on the bottom. I don't necessarily think they're going to be the most comfortable, but at the same time here, they're going to offer more functionality and gameplay compatibility. Based on the description of this video, the 34XXSP will have a 720 by 480 monitor. It will be running Linux, and it'll do probably up to PS1. Unfortunately, I don't have a whole lot of information about pricing or release date just yet, or what shipping to the US is going to look like. Oh, water scooter. Anyways, here I'm assuming this one is not going to break the bank and will be relatively affordable. Let me know your thoughts about this one in the comments below. And speaking about handhelds, next up we're talking about Retroid. Now we've talked about Retroid in previous videos regarding the whole tariff situation, and it does appear that Retroid is stepping up to cover the tariff fees for US customers. So here's the latest. If you're a US customer and you receive a bill from DHL, please contact Retroid customer service. They will settle it with DHL. Now, I've seen a few people post some bills from DHL showcasing the tariffs, and some of these are crazy expensive. I mean, check out this tariff fee, and I don't think this one's photoshopped. $1,329.32. Imagine if Retroid did not cover that fee. Holy smokes. Someone obviously asks, what the hell did you buy? That's like $500 worth of stuff at 150% tariffs. And this person replies, probably 2 consoles and accessories. I'm worried the tariffs will severely hurt this community. Now for reference, that's not just a one-off. Here's another example. This person's tariffs were just over $400, literally just over $400. And here's what they ordered. They say, some more info, I ordered a Retroid Flip 2 with case and button replacements, total around $270. That is absolutely crazy. So if you are in the US, well, be prepared to be hit with some tariffs. Fortunately here, Retroid is paying them, but I don't know for how long. I don't know how long this will be sustainable for. I'm assuming that this is, this is not good. And speaking about not good and still talking about Retroid, next up here we're talking about the Retroid Classic, and I would say this is more of just a PSA if you've got a Retroid Classic. This is being reported by a number of different people here, but Retroid Classic bricked after putting in case. Device was at 92% power, put it into the case and then took it out and it's dead. Computer does not recognize it at all. Replugging battery does not charge it or change it, and no hard resets work. Check the sub and the Discord, and apparently this is a problem for many people and it's accelerating over time. Has anyone fixed this? I tried the reflash from the Discord tech channel and it doesn't work because the device is not detected. And it seems that hopefully Retroid will be addressing this in some way, shape, or form. If you've got a Retroid Classic and this happens to you, I'd recommend checking out their Discord for some more support here. This person was able to reflash after a few attempts. The device does not need to be detected as an RP Classic. They just hit the power and volume down or up for 30 seconds and connect it via USB. So this is obviously alarming. If you've got a Retroid Classic, you probably don't want to put it in the case. On top of that, the Retroid Pocket Flip 2 just got an OTA update, and I would say this one is extremely important. And that's because of number 1 here, fixed insufficient charging current after over-discharge protection. They've also optimized fan curve to reduce fan noise. They've fixed screen wake up and failure during rapid lid open and close. They've corrected PS4 controller button mapping errors, and they've updated home button functionality. Single press is back, double press is home. Next up, we're talking about something very interesting, and this one was announced over on Twitter. It says, my emulator now has a name, Sogen, or Sogen. It now manages to analyze BO6's protection right in your browser. Someone asks, wait, this is huge for cracking, right? And the developer of this says, this is huge for all kind of program analysis, not only cracking. Now, if you are interested in this and wanted to learn more about it, like everything we talk about, links are in the description below right at the bottom. And I would say this may require quite a bit of reading to fully grasp exactly what this program may or may not be able to do. But I would say this is pretty big for a certain community. And speaking about pretty big for certain communities, next up here we're talking about Gears of War Reloaded. And Microsoft has announced that Gears of War Reloaded is headed to PS5. Now, it's worth noting here that it's not just headed to PS5. That was arguably one of the biggest parts of the announcement, aside from the actual game announcement here. So Gears of War Reloaded is headed to Xbox Series X and S, Xbox PC, Xbox Cloud Gaming, PS5, and Steam this summer. The specific launch date on this one is August 26th, and the price on this one some people may see as reasonable here, $40. That's the suggested retail price. And if you have Gears of War Ultimate Edition on Xbox, you get a free upgrade to this game. There will be cross-play and cross-progression across all platforms. However, if you don't want to use a multiplayer account, if you don't want to use an Xbox account, you do miss out on some of the features. So they say here, with cross-play across all platforms, you and your friends can squad up no matter where you play. No Microsoft account required. However, signing in with a Microsoft account unlocks full cross-platform functionality. It enables cross-progression, so your campaign and multiplayer progress carries across devices. It also allows you to send invites and play with friends across platforms. And I would say I understand why they need an Xbox account to do some of this stuff. And I would also say it's a good move considering we've seen some negative feedback towards requiring a PSN account for those PlayStation games on PC. And speaking about the whole cross-platform stuff, they say no matter where you play, Gears of War Reloaded has been re-engineered to look and feel incredible. Players can expect 4K resolution, 60 FPS in campaign, 120 FPS in multiplayer, I would say, I guess, depending on your PC. High dynamic range. On top of that, there's VRR and even more. On a side note here, and this is more of just a fun fact, it turns out that Matt Hewson works on Gears of War Reloaded. I think it's their full-time job. But anyways, Matt says, I mostly make NES games, but during the day I work on little side projects like this. Honestly, pretty surreal bringing this Xbox franchise to the PS5. I mean, I'm pretty sure we've talked about this game on the channel before. It doesn't have a release date yet, but it's Super Sunny World, and it was developed by, or is being developed rather, by Matt Hewson. If you're a fan of Super Mario Bros. 2, this one may be up your alley. And speaking about PC, kinda. Next up here, we're talking about Skype, and we talked about this one a while back when it was initially reported. But today, Skype is shutting down. So if you're using Skype, you're out of luck and going to have to find an alternative. Now, no surprise here, Microsoft is pushing people towards Microsoft Teams. And I'll say from personal experience, if you are using MS Teams, the notification sounds may give you nightmares. On top of that, there's some other options if you want. There's stuff like Zoom and Discord and Google Meet and even more. If you do use Skype a lot and you've got a lot of data on the platform, you've got until the end of the year to take it off or you'll lose it forever. As for the reason of the shutdown, we've talked about this one before, but it seems from my understanding that Microsoft built Skype without mobile in mind. And it wasn't a really good option for mobile. The backend code was not suited for mobile, and instead of revamping everything, they've already got Microsoft Teams. They just decided to shut it down. Next up here, we're talking about the upcoming NVidia RTX Pro 6000 Blackwell. If you're in the market for one of these, I can't see a whole lot of people being in the market for one of them, but, well, you're going to have to pay over $11,000 for one of these. This thing has a whopping 96 gigs of DDR7 memory, and I would say this is well suited for games that have a whole lot of memory leaks. Honestly here, though, the use cases for this is probably not the everyday gamer, and the price is just absolutely staggering. I'm really happy right now with my 3060 laptop GPU in comparison overall. I don't know. Let me know your thoughts about this one if you're interested in picking one of these up for $11,326. Next up, we're talking about Ecco the Dolphin. And if you're a fan of Ecco the Dolphin, or if you're at least familiar with it, or maybe if you're not familiar with it, you might be a fan of what's to come here. A brand new game is reportedly along the way, along with a couple of remasters. So this isn't just remasters of the original. The original and the sequel are getting remasters, but there is going to be a brand new game. And there's a timer here for close to a year. I'm assuming we're going to hear more before that, or maybe we won't. I guess we'll have to wait and see and just stare at the clock. And speaking about remasters, next up we're talking about the Elder Scrolls Oblivion Remastered. If you're excited about this game, if you're enjoying it, you might be excited to know that it's already the third best-selling game of 2025. Well, that's at least in the US, only trailing Monster Hunter Wilds and Assassin's Creed Shadows. And I would say that is extremely impressive given the fact that it's very recently released, and it's just a remaster. Let me know your thoughts about that in the comments below. Next up, if you're a fan of the Kerbal Space Program, you may be a fan of this game here. It's currently in development and it's called Junkard Space Agency. At the time of filming, version 0.1 Liftoff has been teased. Now this game, once it's released, is said to be going open source. You can already wishlist this one over on Steam here, and the planned release date is 2026. I'm assuming we're going to see a whole lot more about this one up to its release, and I am very excited about this one and also very happy that they're deciding to go open source for the whole game. Next up here, we're talking about Google versus Apple, and well, this one's going to generate quite a bit of friendly conversation maybe, or maybe not. Fans of iPhones are probably not going to be excited about this one. There's a brand new video titled Best Phones Forever, responding to the rumors. And it's an advertisement mock podcast between an iPhone and a Google Pixel. And Google pokes a whole lot of fun at iPhone, getting features well after they're released over on Android or at least on other phones. Now, I am very curious to see what Apple does moving forward, if they do anything in response to this. Either way, I'm going to be cooking up a whole bunch of popcorn just to read the comments here, because I'm certain they're going to be incredibly entertaining. Next up, we're talking about a brand new game on Steam that's about to hit early access. It's set to release on May 23rd in early access, and will be in early access for like 8 months to a year, give or take. This one is called Tinkerlands, and well, if you're a fan of stuff like Stardew Valley, you might be a fan of this. If you like more combat, the combat side of Stardew Valley, you might be a fan of this. This game seems cozy, but also, I guess, kind of exciting. I'm curious to see how this one pans out. There is a demo available. I haven't checked out the demo yet. If you have, let me know your thoughts about it in the comments below, but I'm very curious to see the overall reception once this hits early access. Next up, if you're a fan of Fallout 4 and a fan of modding games, you might be a fan of this here. This is called Adam's Retribution 2, and it's a massive size mod for Fallout 4. They're saying like 20 plus hours of gameplay. 4,000 lines of dialogue, voice dialogue have been recorded, and even more. If you haven't played Fallout 4 in a while, or if you're a fan of the game and wanting to breathe new life into it, this mod may be worth checking out. I mean, 20 plus hours of gameplay, I would say, is almost an entirely new game. And speaking about entirely new games and developing stuff, last up here, if you're looking for work and you're a programmer or a senior programmer, this may be up your alley, and this is more of just a friendly heads up. I find it super interesting because Studio MDHR, who you may know is behind Cuphead, is looking for a brand new senior programmer. So they say here, we're looking for a talented programmer to join the studio to help us shape the foundation of our next big project. I am very curious to know what that next big project is. If you've got an idea, let me know in the comments below here, but feel free, again, links are in the description below to everything we talk about if you're interested in learning more about this or even to possibly apply to the job. But anyways, that is all I've got for you in this one. Straight to the point, all stuff and no fluff. We talked about a bunch today. Feel free to discuss anything we talked about in the comments below. If you liked this video, leave a like. If you didn't like this video, leave a like. Hit that subscribe button. Check out my other videos. Don't tempt fate. Save your state.